Hi, very good afternoon, June from Avstar. So I guess we should start from the beginning because of the comments section, some of the things that have been said in there. And clearly some people have got other opinions as to, lots of things. And one of the common things that I see is that we're returning, Gene, back into an ice age. I admire the innocence, and I understand that they don't know the difference between an ice age and a glacial period. So, I think we need to start from somewhere, and in order to get everyone on board, we need to, just start with some very simple basics. And I'm also going to say this is my disclaimer, right? I have now secured a very lucrative future for myself, so I don't need YouTube money. However, right, there is a link down there, and just like you would if you went out for a meal and you got good service, then it would be polite, would it not, to leave a tip? So we're going to leave it just like that. If you got something out of the video and you enjoyed it and you learned a few things, you might want to consider doing that, but it's not mandatory. Okay, for those that want magnetic pole data, now that requires my time. It requires maintenance of the equipment and running of the website, which all are costs, and therefore, on Patreon there is a small fee of £3.69p, which is not going to break anybody's bank. I'm confident in that, per month, and you get the latest magnetic pole data, which is like the service that we provide here at the observatory. So having said that, let's just keep it very simple and address two things. When we talk about ice ages, what determines an ice age from an un-ice age, a non-ice age, is whether we've got ice in the Arctic and Antarctic regions of our planet. If we've got ice in the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic, then we're in an ice age. So currently we are in an ice age. So that should address that problem. So we're not returning to an ice age because we're already in one. If the ice disappeared from the northern and southern hemispheres, then we wouldn't be in an ice age. And we could, if we was approaching another ice age, then we would expect to see the ice rebounding over the northern and southern hemispheres. So I don't want to confuse anyone. It's very simple. If there's ice in the Arctic Circle, ice in the Antarctic, we are in an ice age. So right now we're in an ice age. I'm going to make it very, very simple so that there's no mistakes. If you want to fact check anything I tell you, then you're more than welcome. You're going to find I'm spot on. The other thing is, when we talk about the magnetic pole shift, we're talking about the magnetic part of the magnetosphere, or the dipoles, reversing, not a rotational axis reverse. Now I know even Albert Einstein supported amongst other things, a rotational axis movement, but we have monuments, the Giza Great Pyramids, the Stonehenge monument in the UK is 8,000 years old. The pyramids in Egypt are 4 or 5,000 years old, or thereabouts, in between, maybe 4,500 years, let's say. They all align perfectly with different things like the magnetic North Pole, or in the case of Stonehenge, it tells us when the sun will align with the summer solstice and the winter solstice, and to date they are still accurate. Now, if the age of the Stonehenge in the UK is accurate, of around about 8,000 years, they don't quite know, then we can say there has been no rotational axis shift on the Earth to date. What we're looking at is the magnetic poles that reverse regularly. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the electromagnetic field reversing 180 degrees. So when your compass points north, it will then, through a reversal, point south. And if you think that that's all that's going to happen during a magnetic reversal, you're very wrong, because there's a lot more to it. But I don't want to, put too much things into your mind right now. I just want you to get a grip of these things, and slowly but surely, I'll bring you up to speed on what's going on with our planet, and why it's such an important topic right now to get a grasp of. Because right now, you're one of very few people, less than 1% of the people. 99% of the people don't know what's going on with the Earth regarding the magnetic North Pole. They don't even know that the Earth is going through a magnetic reversal. Can you believe that? We're talking nearly 8 billion people. So we are going to start from the very beginning, and tiny steps. We're going to work our way up to a level where we understand all the components of what's happening, and we'll be in a better position to, make some decisions on how we want to prepare, because there is, something going to happen at some point. And without being, one of those people that try and, spell fear porn, we're all going to die. Well, I'm not one of those. What I want to tell you is that, yes, we are definitely going to go through some aspects in the near future and the long-term future. And, they are going to have detrimental impacts on our livelihoods, on our living, and on our well-being, and on our health. So if you're interested in any of those things, which I'm absolutely sure you will be, then, stick around on YouTube. I am going to give this information away free. Okay? But I'm not going to give what we have spent a lot of money on and time on, which I'm continuing to do, and I'm receiving very little for that. But what I've done, because I knew things were going this bad, I've secured a good job. It's like this weekend, I've been offered a job for the weekend, and the pay is £800 from Friday early morning till Monday afternoon, which is amazing money, really. And I get to stay in a brand new truck, because that's my profession now. And that is not roughing it, by the way. I've got a bunk bed. It's a brand new truck. I've got a microwave, a coffee maker, a fridge freezer. You wouldn't believe. It's like a mobile home, really is. And then if I throw my TV in there, and a games console in there, I'm in my man cave instantly. So the idea of this is, I think we need to just cut it right back to the beginning. Start off a simple understanding of some simple things that are relevant to, the things that we're going to be talking about later on, like climate shift. What is the climate shift? Well, I'm just going to mention one other fact. I don't really want to bamboozle you with lots of different ideas and concepts, but think about this. Saudi Arabia, large oil producer and distributor of its crude worldwide. Well, at some point in its history, it must have looked different from pretty much a desertous country. And it's true, because the crude oil is derived from petrified forests, basically, trees. And we end up with crushed and then liquefied tree juice, if you like. So you can all understand, without using scientific terminology and all these aspects. I'm keeping it layman for you guys. It looked differently. So what we see now is a dry desert, and you know what? Believe me, guys, it's receiving more rain now than it ever has done, and it could be going back to the way it used to be, and that means that the climate does shift on our planet. But what are the things that inhibit the movement of the climate? That we're going to be looking at all those things, but we're going to start off at something very simple, right? So the thing I want you to take away from this is that if we've got ice on our northern and southern hemispheres, we're in an ice age. So right technically now, we're already in it. We have been for a considerably long time. If the rotational axis shifts, that's not the same as a pole shift, a magnetic pole shift, right? When the magnetic poles reverse, the Earth doesn't turn with them. So those two things we're clearing up right here and now. And like I said, you can fact check that, come back, and we'll move to another level tomorrow. We'll climb one more rung of the ladder each day until we bring you up to speed on what is going on and why it's important, and why I've chose to sacrifice over a decade of my life trying to educate people as to what's going on. So I will mention the link down there. If you got something out of this video and you want to leave a donation, it's there. But you know, if you're interested in the magnetic pole data, come over to the Patreon account, because we can talk more freely over there without being censored, throttled back, people not being who are subscribed to me not being informed of the latest videos and things like that. YouTube's turning really nasty, and for that reason, you know, its competitors are just accelerating over them, like TikTok for instance. So you know, I'd like to see you over there on Patreon with me, and the only other thing is, you know, tune in tomorrow. We'll go and climb another rung of the ladder together. As always, take care. Bye for now.